Who's got it better than us?
Nobody! Herbert is being chased, thrown on the run, and it is caught. Touchdown, Keenan Allen. What a great...
My goal is not to break you. My goal is to make you harder to break.
Comes back, number 6.
Huge sack by Joey Bosa.
Touchdown! 90-yard touchdown!
Off at the 8-yard line by Derwin James. Sets his feet, takes a shot downfield, has Knighton. Caught! Touchdown! Chargers!
Boys, grab your lunch boxes and go attack this day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind.
How was that for a bounce back off a hiding against Indy on a 5-day break, no less? Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. I am Andy, with me Jack and Alistair, the three amigos back together at long last. You are listening to the Thunder Down Under Chargers podcast. For that, we thank you. We thank you more if you give that subscribe button a whack and the notification bell to get notified on our episode releases. If you're on audio, kindly leave a review and a rating to help us get deeper into the Chargers algorithm. Boys, I'm feeling a little bit excited to be back with both of you after 7 weeks or thereabouts since we've had a three-man show. And it was, look, you did very well for the indie show, got to say. Thank you in my absence of being horrendously crook, if any listeners were worried. Jack painted it like I was on death's bed, but wasn't that bad. At moments, I kind of wished I was. Jack, mate, I haven't seen you or spoken to you in a very long time. How are you?
Oh, very good, mate. It is fantastic to have your dulcet tones start the show again. Far more competent than Alistair and I. It's wonderful. We're just catching up about your wonderful trip on in Italy, and we're just catching up on some dad stories. So, no, I'm very well, very, very well. Very busy with work and things, but I think as we all are. But Alistair, it's finally good to see you. Yeah, we're having a little bit of trouble in the last 24 hours, but that's okay.
Murphy's Law would dictate that I get thrown off the airwaves imminently. So I'm going to try and enjoy every minute while I have a stable internet connection. It's good we've got Andy off Devil's Toilet this week, and we're together as a trio. So let's break down this stunning victory. And hey, Jack, I might start it off, mate.
Okay.
This is why the cliches exist. A week is a long time in football, Jack. It's a week at a time league at the NFL. Hey, that's all I wanted to say because Jack threw me over the coals for that, Andy. But hey, those Navy uniforms, those Supercharger uniforms, they had me feeling nicey immediately from the kickoff in this game.
I couldn't agree more. I've been maybe not outspoken, but verbal in my enjoyment of the yellow jersey. I like it. I didn't like the yellow pants at all. But coming back to the throwback, the supercharged Minnesota, it looked great. The big bolts on the helmet. It was awesome, man. It looked good. It felt good. We played good, as you said last week, Al. Man, what's important to me is the response from this team off a 5-day break. If I couldn't have made it more obvious to start the show, you give up 38 points and 18 pressures on your quarterback, he gets smashed. This week, we give up 10 points. We have 30 pressures of our own. Sorry, we had 18 pressures on their quarterback. This week, we've got 30. We've almost put Carson Wentz to the devil's toilet. Yeah, he's done.
We have.
Shoulders
he's
gone.
Done for the year. That's it. Done.
Yep. There's got to be some kind of negligence claim against Kelvin O'Connell just going, stay out there. Stay out there. And their sole touchdown off the back of a short field because of Justin Herbert's tipped interception. So the team played with intent. Their energy was palpable throughout from start to finish. An incredibly well-rounded game. Not perfect by any means, but a lot better and crucial. A crucial win at this juncture in the season.
Yeah, it just felt different the start of the game. They came out with intent. The defensive line was jumping on. They were reading the snap well. They were getting to Wentz just time and again. But Justin Herbert came out, and boy, did we all have a bit of a heart attack when he threw that first pick. Well, and then I've gone, oh no, this is the worst way to start the game. Credit to Justin Herbert and credit to the Chargers, though. That was only a mere speed hump. Like, Justin Herbert almost went, okay, I'm going to get that one back. Now you're not going to touch me. Now I'll see you later. You can pressure me all you want, fucking Flores. Piss off. I'm going to have one of the better games I think I'm going to have this year. So, Alistair, you said it is a week at a time, this league, and I think maybe that's just what sport is these days. It's very hard to find consistency in the modern game because it's so even. But gosh, it just felt from the first snap, from the first defensive series, from that first offensive drive, that they were ready to go. And it's a huge win to put us at 5-3 in the context of the season, given what's happening in the AFC West.
Yeah, massive win. I think it's just such a high prevalence of injury sport. That's why more than any other sport, the week-to-week really matters. There were a lot of Vikings missing in this game, and we'll brush over it for now, but that definitely helped us this week. But our tone setters were there, boys. For me, on the offense, that's Herbert and Alt. On the defense, it's Perryman and Tart. And those guys
please throw Khalil Mack in that little bunch of conversation, because 12 snaps the week before, this week was unleashed and he was reckless. And Tart straight off that first defensive snap, swimming over, straight in. Henley spies Wentz, hits him as he throws. Sorry, Al, floor's back yours. I'm just excited.
That was important because Mac is the first name I should have said. So thanks for pulling me in. It is definitely a Khalil Mack thing, and everything he allows the whole defense to do. That's right. You're flaming and ready to go. I look. Firstly, what was that, an interception, or what did the ball hit the ground? I thought that was incredibly close, especially when it was called a pick on the field. Was there enough to reverse it? It depends what fan you ask, I reckon. I was so happy that they reversed that. Those little momentum swinging plays, Lady Luck was on our side, because let's call it for what it is. Herbert kind of shat the bed a little bit on that play, because their pass pro had been, well, it turned out to be fantastic. But on that play, Flores sends the nickel late, and there's no one to pick up the nickel blitzing from the slot. And Herbert sees it and goes, oh, I got to get this ball out of my hands early, and throws it behind McConkey. So lucky that this game didn't start 7-0, and then who knows what we're talking about. But for once, the football gods were on our side. And Andy, since you're bursting in the undies, what did you think about this game from Justin Herbert? So PFF, to give out the numbers, PFF have given him his highest overall graded game for the season by quite a long way. They gave him a 93.6 overall game. His next highest, 84.1 against the Commanders. PFF charted him with 0 turnover-worthy plays in this game, which I think reasonable minds could differ. But look, was this the best Justin Herbert? Something in between? Just how good was he in your eyes?
I thought he was great. He wasn't excellent. He excelled in the got to have it moments. There were a couple of plays where he's thrown the ball behind the receiver and it's worked out. The one that you mentioned, of course, the inner Gene Steratore of me was like, ball's moved as it's hit the ground, wasn't remotely concerned, and then I sat there eagerly watching, going, oh, okay, yeah, the ball has moved as he's completing the catch. So I wasn't too concerned, even though the on-field call. He made some excellent throws. You could tell to pile Joe Alt into this part of the conversation, which I think is essential. It wasn't, the excellent return back into the fold for Joe Alt, but his presence helped Herbert. It helped Herbert with his belief in the offensive line. It helped Herbert make that decision early to use his legs, and 7 scrambles for 62 yards thereabouts, plus or minus. It was well rounded in that regard. So yeah, like I said, great, not excellent. Was it his best game for the year? Yeah, I think so. I think it was. Yeah. If you go back to 2023 week 3 against Minnesota last time, when he threw for over 400 yards and absolutely destroyed it. He just likes playing against Brian Flores. I wouldn't have said that Brian Flores' blitzes are overly predictable, but Herbert just has a way of going, that all you got? You seen my side piece? I'm killing this today.
You see
And good on him, man. The guy celebrated with one of the greatest sort of sporting weekends ever. Yeah, he takes his beautiful bell to the World Series, to the Lakers game. Good on him, man. Deserved it. I think the outcome of this game means a lot more than just a win, in the sense of camaraderie of the team, the energy, the belief going forwards with the smorgasbord of injuries. I think, it was a good game.
Andy, I have to pick you up. You're saying it's his best game for the year. It's a great game. It's not an excellent game. I'm thinking that he's had an excellent game. I'm sorry. I just think he has. He's been blitzed. He's been pressured on, like, I think PFF had it somewhere like 60%. He's cooked Brian Flores, 14 for 17, 189 yards, over 11 yards an attempt on the blitz. And yes, I understand the team that he was doing it with. Yeah, he did the same thing, against the Vikings, a season or two ago. But the offensive line wasn't as good. Perhaps the receivers were better. It was a more complete team. I'm sorry. I'm going to call it. I thought it was an absolutely excellent game. I'm leading a little bit into my teachable moment, but Flores essentially had to almost stop blitzing in the second half because Herbert was kind of like, I'm going to punish every single time you blitz, and it's going to be 11 yards to Keenan Allen, 15 yards to Gadsden, 10 yards to Lad McConkey. Piss off, Brian Flores. It was so good. It was such a good game. And you know what? I'm going to manipulate the middle linebacker, and if those guys just go out because I think I'm throwing, I'm running for 20 yards. I thought this was one of his best games that I've seen in recent memory. Yes, he's had more stat.
Didn't you say that last week as well,
course.
No, I've got to say, in almost 130 episodes of doing this show, this is the first time you've been beyond positive ahead of me. So I'm excited about that.
I know it's good. And I seem to
maybe great, not perfect, is what I should have gone with. But very good. I'm not going to walk back my words.
But what's perfect though? I mean, the guy's being pressured at a ridiculous amount of rate, and he's thrown three touchdowns.
Flag on the play.
Anyway, sorry, there's a flag. Go ahead, Alistair.
The judicial arbiter has to step in.
The definition of perfect, according to Webster Merriam Dictionary,
we're not making mistakes.
Do you know what? You're both right. I thought it was excellent, Jack. Although I do think this is one of those
you got
ones
splinters in your bum sitting on the fence like that.
Well, it was 2 snaps away from perfect. That first one where thankfully Rodgers either drops or nearly catches the ball, and his pick was a pretty bad pick, the one thrown in his own half of the field, trying to do too much. He was excited because he made a similar play to Lad McConkey not more than 3 snaps earlier, so he's tried it again. But you know what? I almost couldn't fault him on a single other snap, the way he played, the way the whole offense was prepared. Everyone's been taking some issues with PFF recently, myself included. I don't think he was pressured on 60% of dropbacks in this game, right? I thought he was pressured quite a lot, but from my tape watch, I thought Vidal was stunning in pass protection as the running back.
He was exceptional.
He was really good. Yes. I thought most of the offensive line, most of the time, were not allowing quick pressures. If pressures were coming, it may have been because Herbert was running around a little bit. It was an overall solid performance, and Herbert is allowed to cook when the game plan is this good, boys. I thought Roman went into this one and said,
I agree.
I like my chances against this defensive line and that we can push them around. So we've run it 36 times, 23 of them between the tackles.
Yeah.
Which we weren't doing last week. We spotted a weakness and thought, actually, we can go up the middle this week against these soft guys, Javon Hargrave and whoever else. And that gave the confidence to Herbert. You're not in predictable 3rd and long situations. We're ready. We've got a quick pass here, but then we're running the ball so it's 2nd and 4. And then you're hitting Gadsden on play action. So this was another week. I reckon 6 out of 8 weeks this year, Greg Roman has been really good at the controls. we worry because it tends to be against the better defenses where he has a subpar performance. But before this week, the Vikings were basically ranked top 10 in every conceivable metric. We made them look like has-beens, a bottom 12 defense. We kicked the shit out of them, and they're a really good defense. So that says a lot to this offense, what it is now, what Joe Alt means to this team, what it can become. I'm a bit excited too, so I'll ask a question. Andy, I'll throw it to you. Jack and I last week on this very show, while you were preoccupied, spoke about whether the Chargers roster as presently constructed could contend for a Super Bowl. We both basically said no. I said, I want to see what it looks like when Alt and Hampton are back. Maybe those two give us a fighting chance. What do you think now? Do you think when Hampton comes back and with what we've seen from OA and Alt that this team is good enough to do something, or does Hortier still need to get busy around the trade deadline to make us a contender this year?
Yeah, I agree with your sentiments that it's a no. And I stand by that with the return to form of Joe Alt and the return of Amari and Hampton. I still think the eyes are set on 2026 and building towards that. But look, even, just to sort of go a little microscopic on your question, even like Bobby Hart has now been in the lineup for three or 4 weeks, and he's improving in pass protection. At least he was pretty decent this week. Yeah, getting the help from the chip block. Jonathan Grenard created a bit of sort of speed trouble early off that left-hand side, but there's gelling going on, and I think the culture is right that guys, not necessarily guys off the street, but guys can come from other teams halfway through the year and have an impact immediately. Might not be a massive one from OA, but he's still having an impact, and he's still increasing the potency of the other players who are there. So I don't think that even with an outcome like this, if we're beating a much better defense, then look, you could maybe change my mind, but I still think we're a couple of pieces off contending for a Super Bowl at this point.
Yeah, the variance is there for me. Like for me, a Super Bowl team doesn't lose by what we did last week and win by what we did this week too often. The sine wave is too up and down, right? But I just wanted to touch on what you said about Greg Roman. This is what a Greg Roman offense could look like if we had Slater, if we had Amari and Hampton week in, week out. I mean, what are they? They were plus 0.46 EPA in the run game, which puts them somewhere in the 95th percentile. And then, Herbert was throwing the ball 9.2 yards per attempt, throwing the ball past the sticks. I mean, how do you stop that offense? I mean, it's essentially what the Colts did to us, right? Absolutely gashed us through the middle, and then Daniel Jones was just sitting in the pocket and picking us apart in the secondary. So, dare I say it, I mean, and I guess I've always said that, I'd give Roman until, I think I said week 6 or week 7, I'm keeping Greg Roman. Greg Roman looks good, and credit to him. And I think fans that have been pretty harsh on him do have to eat a little bit of humble pie, because there were calls for him at the end of last season. He's not the coordinator for Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert, with 2 years in this, or almost 2 years in this offense, is looking like an MVP candidate. And that is down to Greg Roman. And considering that Greg Roman has had one of the worst, if not the worst, heavily hit offensive lines in football, I think he's doing an exceptional job. And at the midpoint, I think he's passing with flying colours, Alistair. On that, Alistair, let me ask you this. Do you see any other major issues on the offensive line right now other than Bradley Bozeman? In your tape watching, is Bobby Hart actually okay? Or is he just being covered with chips from Fisk, chips from Matlock, and those exotic looks? Is Roman doing enough offensively to kind of hide and actually make them look okay?
The reality is Herbert had 25 pass attempts in this game. It's the games where we can't run the ball and we're having 50+ pass attempts that I would be worried about your Bobby Harts. The game plan was fantastic, Jack. Keenan only had 18 snaps. They had 40 for Matlock, 42 for Fisk, 42 for Harris. So they came in and ran the ball. It was their most rush yards in a game since that Carolina Panthers Week 2 domination last year. So they've gone over 200. And I'll get to answering your question, but that balanced nature of the offense gives your whole offensive line help, because it means the defensive line can't jump the snap because they have to play run first, because you are running the ball a lot and you're playing, and you called it out. You were sending Fisk or Matlock to help out on Hart's side. So I thought you used the right word. I thought Hart played okay. I also would think Hart right now is playing as well or better than Pipkins does whenever he's fully healthy. I am not seeing any real difference between those two. And Pipkins right now isn't healthy. So I wouldn't change this lineup.
Is that to do with, detracting from the numbers that you have as targets? When you've got a Fisk and Matlock chipping in to assist the tackle, Pipkins doesn't get that, right? They put Pipkins on an island more often than not against Max Crosby. And that's just the way it is. And you're just going to have a rough day and you're going to earn your money today. Is there comparison that would suggest that, if you kind of treated Hart like Trey Pipkins, that the outcome would be the same? Or is it sort of muddied by the fact that he's essentially playing with an extra guy, helping him out in his pocket? Not to take away too much from Bobby Hart. I brought him up, so I'm not hating on the guy.
You're probably right. We'd have to see what it looked like in one of those games where Herbert has to drop back a million times. Although against the Colts, some issues did show up. I think 2 out of 3 ain't bad, as Meatloaf sang, and he's been pretty good, Bobby Hart, for 2 of those 3 games. Who knows if they change the lineup? Harbaugh said today that it would depend. He'd pick the best 5, etc., etc. But I'm with you, Jack. I don't think Roman is allowing significant injuries to affect the overall performance. Don't forget, Will Disley was inactive this week. It turns out today he's not practicing through some sort of injury, but we haven't seen any real drop-off most weeks. You're feeling really good about it.
Yeah, can I go back? I'll go back to you, Al, and then Andy, maybe you jump in on this. There's a lot of talk around at the moment that Justin Herbert is kind of now playing with big boy pants on. A couple of the reads he's making, especially that touchdown to McConkey, is that I believe, Alistair, it's like a classic yes/no look. If the safety comes down, he just throws it over the top and goes for it. But the way that he's manipulating defenses in 12 and 13 personnel as well, he's able to draw defenders one way, throw across his body, and that's where Gadsden and Keenan Allen are coming up in these 13, 14, 20-yard plays, and the throws are Herbert is making them look amazingly easy because he's talented. It just sort of feels like he's got, even against the Colts when things started to look a little crap, I get that. He's just starting to have this control. And it's some of the first control, and maybe we'll talk about that little hiccup that he had, and maybe he's going to have one of those a game. But is he just, is it now, are we now just seeing the perfect connection between Roman teaching him for 18 months now and his talent? Is this the next step for Justin Herbert as well? Like, he's playing with big boy pants on.
The next step would be for him to reliably use his legs, as you said, when you can identify their own man. In this game, he's done it 7 times for 60-odd yards. Andy, I've got a question for you before, as I answer Jack's question here. But you cannot wrap up this game, encapsulate how good a performance it was, more than the last drive of the first half and the first drive of the second half. Because the last drive of the first half, we've started back at our own 6-yard line, and we go on a 9-play, 94-yard drive. One of them's a scramble play, 2 of them are runs. Then we've thrown Okuda's way 3 times in a row with some well-schemed up stuff, and the alert play, as you said, touchdown. That is Roman trusting Herbert, good play calling, aggressive play calling, building up his self-confidence. Then in the second half with a 21-3 lead, we come out and run the ball. 9 out of 11 times, and effectively.
Oh, mate.
I mean, Vidal's running counter with Bobby Hart and Tucker Fisk and Foster Sorrell down blocking. And then on the other side with Trey Harris as the lead blocker, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, just as everyone drew it up heading into the system, like heading into the system, that's how we all pictured it. Yeah. Everything was working in this game. So, Andy, my question for you, 2 weeks ago, I somewhat cheekily said, hey, the Chargers' best 11 personnel wide receiver trio is it Ladd, Keenan, and Trey, rather than Ladd, Keenan, and QJ. With another couple of weeks to watch it, how are we feeling now? Does it even matter? What say you?
I don't think it does matter. I don't. I think the locks are Ladd and Keenan, and we're working Trey Harris into, and he's a second round pick, right? Like, I know QJ was a first round pick, but QJ has had, and I don't want to harp on it, he's had more misses than he's had hits. This year has been a lot more hits than misses, but over the course of his career, there's been a lot of things and just mental issues and errors that the pudding hasn't been in the oven long enough with Trey Harris to know if that exists in his realm. But QJ didn't get a sniff of the ball, and we put up 37 points, right? Keenan Allen has 18 snaps. He has 18 snaps, not 18 targets, 18 snaps, and we're putting up 37 points. Gadsden, the chemistry that has just instantly clicked. A massive game last week, and I would have popped the top off going on about a 165-yard game from the rookie tight end. They hit the ground right where they left off last week, and he was huge in the first half. The faith in Kimani Vidal through the first half and the start of the third quarter was awesome. And the way that this kid is fighting for his job and fighting to be known is so admirable. Quiet week last week after the breakout game the week before, and 117 yards and a touchdown is off 23 carries at 5.1 a clip is, nothing to turn your head away from. It was his pass blocking. It was there was a hook up to McConkey where the guy running down, and sure, he was in a pass sort of, he ran a route rather than getting the handoff. But the guy who's down the field blocking for Ladd is Kimani Vidal. And he's blocking well, right? It's really awesome. So sorry to move away from your 11 personnel, because I've just spoken about Arande Gadsden, and I've spoken about the 1-and-1 outside of the receivers. But the way that the wide receiver room has been grown and developed as a whole is a surprise to me, to be honest. I wasn't sure how Keenan was going to be coming back. Was Ladd going to have the sophomore slump? What was QJ going to do? We've spent 2 draft picks on wide receivers, and it's working great.
It's just weird. Sorry, I was going to say, Al, before you jump, I'll go straight to you. But yes, there might be a question in the mailbag that might talk about QJ. But what it's given for the first time I can remember is there is just utility throughout the wide receiver and tight end room now. You can run heavy personnel with QJ and Gadsden on the field. I mean, there's 2 6 foot something guys who you go, wow, okay, yes, QJ is not a post up, and Gadsden is a runner, but then all of a sudden you put Keenan Allen on the field and Trey Harris in heavy personnel, and they're just as good at run blocking as well. And you add, so there's this weird disguise that Roman can now look at, and yes, QJ missing with that hamstring. He's come back and people are going to say he's out of form and things like that. But I mean, QJ still had 38 offensive snaps. Like, he was on the field a lot, and Herbert actually did miss him on a play. I can't remember what the play was. He was wide open.
He was pretty much open in the end zone, and he scrambled.
In the end zone, and he scrambled. So there is this weird utility in the wide receiver room with the body sizes, and given how well Trey Harris is blocking, and QJ, per PFF had a fantastic run blocking game too, Alistair.
Yeah, I mean, all I was going to add to that was we were calling out Roman weeks ago saying Jesse Minter's rotating all these guys. He doesn't even have set outside cornerbacks. He's rolling through 4 dudes. Show us your version of creativity. You guys have both just explained it perfectly. In this game, Keenan had 18 snaps. You're rolling in QJ. You're rolling in Trey Harris. You're going Gadsden, Conklin for 3 or 4 snaps. Okay, Fisk for a lot this week. Matlock for a lot this week. He is showing that flexibility and versatility of mind just as much as Minter is right now. So, geez, that's a lot of good stuff on the offense. Do we want to flip 30 minutes in? Do we want to flip onto the defense a little bit, Andy?
We've been hugging each other and talking offense for 30 minutes. What I want to say is what that does, just to cap off your point, Al, is utilizing all these different people is it keeps the defense honest every single week, because each and every one of these guys can make plays. And it's not like having a Darius Davis in there for 5 snaps a game where the defense goes, don't fucking worry about that guy. Everyone needs to be accountable of all of these players, which is just sensational. And one last thing, a couple other points on Greg Roman, which I thought was excellent. The targeting, the matchups in the receiving game. Okuda, as you mentioned, Al. Harrison Smith got made to look like an old man on pension day, picking up his groceries in a shopping Jeep. Josh Metellus got torched as well. Really excellent. And the thing that really blew me away, Jack, you mentioned it before, I think, one of you did, was the rushing between the tackles. 15 rush attempts went through the A gap. So between the center and the either guard, it generated 50 rush yards most of the season. And Jack, I just want to ask you before we move on to the defense, do you think this speaks to the matchup with the opposing interior defensive lineman, Joe Alt's presence, the communication as a whole, or maybe the scheming and the pickup on the defensive front? How do you sort of see the gross improvement in the running game this week?
Through the tackles, I think it was a softer defensive line, and I think Roman schemed it really well. Once Herbert started cooking, throwing it, I think that really threw the Vikings off. Vidal ran well. Patterson was okay. I just thought it was a better scheme than any player on the interior playing well. I can't really give Joe Alt. It's just Joe Alt's presence at the left there all of a sudden make, Bradley Bozeman this gun center, possibly not. And the Vikings defense do a lot of stuff and show a lot of stuff in the A gaps of linebackers coming and falling off. So naturally there's a little bit of, there's space there as well. So I think it was a mix. I don't think the interior has suddenly, found heaven and suddenly ascended. If anything, and one major,
you'll notice that in the options that I sort of gave you to lead you into your answer, Bradley Bozeman becoming really good at football was not fucking one of them.
The one thing I'm seriously concerned about now, and it's looking like a big whiff, is Mekhi Becton. I think that's a real challenging thing that we probably maybe not talk about this week after such a good game, but I am worried that he's not going to be able to finish the season on the field. He played 6 snaps before he just couldn't go. He keeps putting the Joker photo up on X or whatever it is, saying, is he, isn't he? Not liking the vibe. That's all I can say. And he hasn't played particularly well. So
yeah, I don't think he's in any kind of position to be, oh, is it me? Am I playing? Well, we paid you $20 million. How about you fucking play? It's actually become a joke, right?
So
the one piece that we add. Yeah.
Bit worrisome. Anyway, that's the only downer that I sort of had on my notes. So I'm just going, oh, it's not looking good. Anyway, we move on.
It's nice to take the heat off Bozeman for a week. Put it on Becton. Anything else that really stood out? You've had something challenging there, Jack, on the offense. Al, anything you want to add that, worried you a little bit, or you're feeling pretty good about the offense?
Well, I didn't think Bozeman had a great game in pass protection.
Get your pitchfork out.
Nor did Foster Sorrell really. But in this game, for all the reasons we've discussed, it didn't matter as much. Herbert was in like the best version of himself. We could run the ball. So even though he's pressured a lot, we're not sitting here bemoaning the offensive line, but it's clearly still a watch point. So is a fourth batted past interception. I was thinking, like last year, we eliminated all of that stuff. I think some of that is a little more quick game because if you think about it, if you are going to have a lower A dot, there is a bit more chance for the line to get their hands up. Maybe a little bit of that, but then two of them have been Herbert running around and trying to maybe do a bit too much, as you said last week. So just a watch point from me.
Yeah. I really feel, and I think we do need to, before we go, Andy, I'm sorry because you've opened it up, but that pick on Justin Herbert just can't happen, dude. Like, you just can't do that. You can't do that. You're up by a lot, so what? So maybe you're playing a little freer, but that is a brain fade, and I would just
it got them back to
see-
24-10, right? It got
I
them.
know,
It gave
yeah,
them a chance.
Oh, you just can't have your leader do that stuff. I know we're talking the best of the best. He's doing what he's doing, and maybe the reason why he makes some of those other incredible throws is because he's doing that. He's making those decisions. But if that happens in a big game, you just can't forgive him. You just can't forgive him. I would love to see him throw the ball away just once or twice. Just go, this rep isn't happening. Throw it away. Thank you very much. There we go.
We've kind of lived through his career as a guy that is like meticulously careful about not turning the ball over, and so far, especially sort of the last 5 weeks, not necessarily the turnover worthy plays have elevated, but he's taking more risks, I guess, and
it's good.
That comes with interceptions. So he's taking the game on. I don't want to see him protect everything and leave plays out on the field. He's going to make a lot more great plays than he is having a batted pass that gets bobbled up for an interception. It just so happens that's probably the third one in as many weeks, and it sticks in your mind, right? Like, especially at their 26 or wherever we turn the ball over.
But I mean, PFF have him on 7 INTs, but only 5 turnover-worthy plays. So, like, he's actually, is he taking risks? I mean, I think the box score just looks worse than it perhaps is. Anyway.
So the defense was a lot better this week. That was refreshing. Straight off the bat, we've got hats to the ball in the run game. We've got guys breaking the line, multiple tacklers. I love I hate missed tackles. I hate open field missed tackles. It's something that drives me absolutely insane. I know it's not completely avoidable, but the thing was, I think it was Dante Jackson whiffed on one. Taheeb still was right behind him to stop the runner from the line to gain. So I think whatever the message that Jesse Minter sent out throughout the week, and no doubt it was echoed by the likes of Derwin James, whose quote was, "We played shit," and they did. This week they fixed that. Khalil Mack's in the game a lot more. OA gets another week with the team, and what they put out on defense was phenomenal. Al, how did you... What was your big takeaway from the defensive effort across the board?
Well, first, like you said, very few missed tackles. I think they had 5, which is equal to their lowest of the season. So everyone brought their lunch pail and they came to work. And you could see they had taken it personally what had happened last week, which is exactly what you want to see with your veteran leaders on the field like Perryman and Mack. Schematically, I didn't see a whole lot different, right? They still played, I mean, Ryan would be the expert on this. They still played 2 high safeties quite a lot. They played maybe a sprinkle more of 3 linebackers on the field. Still not often, but there were at least a few snaps where you had Dye, Henley and Perryman, which hadn't been the case the last few weeks. I think Mac makes a world of difference. It makes that trio of pass rushers. I'm going to say one of the better 12 trios in the league. Mac, Tooley, and Owe is an extremely good trio of pass rushers, especially when you can have them in a NASCAR package and you have Tooley standing up over the guard. Owe, they're all winning consistently and well. So I thought it was excellent overall, but I do just want to say as one big caveat, because we would be doing it if we were the offense who just played in this game. your quarterback is your QB1 for the year is not playing. So it's your backup quarterback, Carson Wentz. For me, he is not even one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league. He is a middle of the road backup quarterback. And who is the Vikings' best offensive lineman? Christian Darrisaw. He played 6 snaps before he got replaced in this game by Justin Skule. Who is the Vikings' second best offensive lineman? Stalwart right tackle Brian O'Neill. He gets replaced in this game by Walter Rouse. Neil doesn't play. Who is the Vikings' third best offensive lineman? It is veteran free agent center Ryan Kelly. He doesn't play in this game. Blake Brundle. So we have just faced the Vikings with their backup quarterback missing their 3 best offensive linemen. I think that really has an impact because they couldn't run the ball, Jack, and we were really just foot on the throat from the very first snap.
Wentz was all over the shop. And as I alluded to, our defensive tackles were getting off the line before the offensive tackles and guards were sort of stepping back into pass pro. So, yeah, I think there is a big caveat on the pass rush and the defensive line here. I don't know if we're going to see another game like that from the defenses here. I'd love to, but Wentz was at sea. But the one thing I do want to highlight to go back to some good is this might be the get right game for Cam Hart. I thought Cam Hart was exceptional in this game. I was just looking at some of the stats here. He targeted Justin Jefferson 4 times, only allowed 2 receptions with 2 pass breakups, only allowing 6 reception yards per reception. And he was targeted 5 times, which was just second to Benjamin St-Juste at 8. And he only allowed 12 yards. With 3 pass breakups. So I thought he was great. And this is good timing considering that Tahib still looks like he's going to be out for 2 to 4 weeks. So I haven't said much on the podcast about Cam Hart, but I remember back when we were doing previews, and I keep these tickets, is that I said, is Cam Hart your alpha dog CB? And someone came at me in the comments saying, of course he is. What are you talking about? You're an idiot. You don't know anything about football. Cam Hart's the person, he'll be fine. I haven't clicked that ticket, but now I'll do it. But it's a bit more positive to say that I don't think he's been great this year, but this was a game where we can say that he had his best game for the year. So I was impressed by him, Andy. Anything that you want to say? What do you think about a man who's just been sick? Another man who was sick, played a pretty good game, but it's been pretty down. Diane Henley, what did you think of the middle linebacker play?
I thought it was, on the whole, a lot better across the board. Perryman was better, obviously, coming back. Huge. Sort of another week back in. Troy Dye was better. Dayan was better. Were they awesome and great? I think their role, as Al pointed out, with the inability for Minnesota to generate the run game, I thought the linebacker role was diminished a fair bit. Carson Wentz was looking at Addison, he was looking at Jefferson, and they were sort of, a second feature. But Dye had, I think, 2 pass rush snaps, generated 2 pressures. Henley had a quarterback hit off the second snap of the game. So, there's
coffee
impact.
house blitzes out.
Yeah, man. There's impact. I don't think Jesse Minter was sort of too sort of similar. He did show a little bit of funky stuff, but I think on the whole, not necessarily the play calling and the execution. I think it was that kind of philosophical coaching aura that he gave to the guys and said, hey, your reputation was tarnished last week, and so was mine. Let's make amends for that. And I think he's a guy that those defensive players listen to and respond to. That was my big kind of pump up for how, as a whole, the defense played. And it might not have been against as Al said, missing 3 by the end of it, missing 3 starting linemen and QB2, and then QB3. It was still, you still, any given Sunday, you still got to go out and play well against whoever you're playing against, and they did that. Ends up.
I've got to eat some humble pie as well because Justin Aboigbe had another really good game.
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
And Justin Aboigbe on special teams is a sexy motion. he had another big stop. And, there's a magnet in his body because Cameron Dicker's kickoff was the shittest thing I've ever seen. Who does the ball hit? Justin Aboigbe straight in the shin. He's got a magnet, baby, and there's something special. And he helped elevate the special teams game. No fucking punts. No punts, mate. How good.
Which is amazing.
No punts, mate.
No punts, mate.
But we can fuck Rick Lovato off. We can fuck Rick Lovato right off because this snapping over the shoulder business is. That's the sort of stuff. That is the sort of stuff. That is the 53rd spot on the roster that costs you a playoff game by a botched snap. Yeah. It's shit like that. Let's get Joe. What's happened to Josh Harris? I know he was injured with.
Coming back, I think soon.
He's coming back.
But just with the Aboigbe, I mean, he's lining up mainly in that B gap, so he's getting it done in the space where I kind of said that maybe he was too light for Al. So I definitely have to eat my Justin Aboigbe pie. Anyway,
one thing that Minter did more in this game than any game this year was stunts. So I thought the stunt rate was a lot higher. Do you know both of Aboigbe's sacks? He is supposed to be the pick play so that Tooley can wrap around and get the sack. Both times, Aboigbe's actually the decoy, and he's done it so well crashing through the two guys. He's just found his way into the sack himself. It was a real convergence of all four defensive linemen getting there. I thought Perryman deserved a shout-out in this game, guys, because on the All-22 and even on the broadcast, he was the linebacker who was hitting those tackles at the line or behind the line. I thought Dayon was sort of invisible again. I mean, it doesn't matter, but if you're going to rank who are the best 11 players on defense, for me, he's in that 10th or 11th spot, just not really around the ball. He's just not really around the ball as much as he was in those first 2 weeks. Thankfully, he's got some time to get right. We all hope it's a get right game this week coming up against a Titans team who are really struggling, and then he can find his form towards the back half of the season. Overall, though, stunning, great performance. Hart, I think he's actually been pretty good the last 3 weeks, Jack, but this week he really kind of had more, PBUs and a bit more production on the ball. Is there anything, Jack, to be especially concerned about on defense just based on this performance? I was having to work pretty hard to find some negatives other than Ben St. Just having a couple of moments, allowing that touchdown, having a penalty on 4th down. Otherwise, it was a pretty complete performance on that side of the ball too.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, I think that there's the big caveat we've mentioned over and over again. I mean, their offensive line was just terribly injured, and Wentz was scared out of his boots, essentially. But you got to play, as you said, Andy, any given Sunday, you have to play who you play, and you got to give credit to them. You put up 37 points, you kept them to 10. Really, you could have kept them to 3, let's be honest, because if Herbert doesn't throw that pick, that defense is playing so well that they could probably kept them to 3 points, if 6 points maybe if they hit another field goal.
If that interception's 20 yards further down the field, that's 3.
I don't think they're scoring.
They're pretty much in the red zone when they got possession of the ball. Yeah. Shout out to Mickens as well for the INT. That's awesome stepping up because, Derwin went out after 6 snaps. Tony Jefferson exited the game with a hamstring injury for a period. You've got Elijah Molden wearing a cast because he just had a screw put in his hand. And Mickens is really showing up. He's doing his best Kimani Vidal on the defense and actually making the most of it, which is awesome to see. Awesome to see after a really good preseason.
Yeah.
Al, let's do some awards, man. What do you reckon?
Sounds good to me. I think this week, listeners, I've got the Yeah, Nah award, and Andy flagged it. You had to go searching pretty hard for one this week. I've given it to Cam Dicker. Only because we consistently sing his praises as the best kicker in the league. In this game, he hits his own player on the kickoff short of the landing zone, and he misses a 49-yard field goal. So I expect it just to be a 1-week aberration, but in a week where it was very difficult to find anyone who deserved an award. Hopefully, for the only time ever, it's going to go to the Chargers kicker, Cameron Dicker.
Yep. I, on the other hand, have an absolute bevy of picks for the Nah Yeah award because last week, not so good. This week, a lot better. Kimani Vidal have spoken volumes about his 125 total yards, the way that his running has developed agility, patience for running lanes to open up, his blocking, getting downfield. He's a team player. He was awesome. Big Joe Walt, welcome back, big man. He's another guy that is just goes straight up the ladder immediately because of the impact he has in the team. But for me, I guess they would be the special mentions. For me, I think, and look, it wasn't the most peak Vikings offense that we've played against, but having 38 points put up against you last week, against Indy, Jesse Minter struck me as the kind of guy that would drive to the park his car, lock it, hide the keys in a bush, go for his run, come back, and then be surprised when his keys have gone missing. All the listeners, the reason why we've put this show out 24 hours later is because Alistair has had his car keys stolen in what can only be described as one of the dumbest smart bloke moves known to mankind, with the naivety to believe that the keys were picked up by a good Samaritan only to be returned to nobody. This week, he comes out. It's a well-crafted game plan. He's sent the message to the boys. They've executed. The defense has only given up 164 total yards when the two running backs, sure, Aaron Jones is returning from injury. Jordan Mason is another one. That's a tandem that has credibility in the league. They've generated 5 sacks and held the Vikings to 3 of 11 on third downs. Excellent return. What a way to bounce back and just regain some of the respect and the credit that you deserve in the league. So Jesse Minter, bravo for fronting up 5 days later and getting your guys in the mindset to come out and fight for this fucking team. Awesome. Yep. Yeah, nah, yeah.
It's time for my teachable moment. All right. I've gone to another sport this week to justify what Justin Herbert has done so far this year. So here we go. You can't judge greatness only by the box score. You have to judge it by the problem being solved. Most people look at QB stats in a really shallow way. Yards, touchdowns, interceptions, etc. And on that surface level, Justin Herbert's night against Minnesota was very good, Andy. 18 completions, 25 attempts, 227 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 INT. That sounds good, but it doesn't sound historic. It doesn't sound like MVP talk. Until you ask the real question, under what conditions did he do it? That's where I think it changes and where we look at F1. Teams, I've been watching a bit of Drive to Survive. Teams never just look at the battle at a lap time and say, yeah, that's fast, that driver's elite. They look at why behind the lap. What tyre compound was he on? How cooked were those tyres? Was he in clean air or was he stuck out in traffic? How heavy was the fuel load? Was the car stable or was he fighting the wheel, etc.? A lap that's only a tenth slower but done on worn tyres in dirty air is actually more impressive than a faster lap on soft tyres and a perfect track. The context is the point. That's how we should look at Justin Herbert. On paper, 18 for 25, 227, 3 touchdowns, 1 INT, 72%. That's clean, efficient, hey? It's pretty tidy if you don't ask, if you're not saying too much. However, in context, Herbert was pressured. Alistair, I know you don't think it was 65%, but for this from PFF, 65%. His offensive line was banged up again. Yes, Alt returns, Pipkins goes down, Becton goes down. He still only took 2 sacks. And when Flores blitzed him early, 14 of 17, 189, 3 TDs, put the game to bed. He also scrambled for around 60 yards. So you're not watching a quarterback in cruise control. You're watching a driver keep the whole thing on the track while the car is actively shaking apart. That's why I think we have to start looking at Justin Herbert in the MVP conversation for what he's doing with what's happened in front of him. That is value. What Justin Herbert is doing is value. And that's what most valuable actually means.
Class dismissed.
Nice. You threw me. You threw me for an 80-yard touchdown by veering away. We've lost 3% of our listeners who only tune in for the history lesson of the teachable moment.
That's right. Why is it not war?
We want
Where's
battle
the Navy?
formations,
Where's the
tanks,
Navy?
and war. Nope. Jack's watched some Formula One. Thought, let's give it a spin. Nicely said. That's it. Yeah, it's all about what you've got.
I think
in
it's
front
quite
of
a
you
good,
and-
it's a good analogy, kind of like that. I just find it fascinating how in F1, when you listen, like it's very much a team and a car and the drive, and they look at all those conditions really carefully. Whereas I think we just live in a world, with the NFL, we live in a world of box scores and fantasy football. People go, oh yeah, average game, only 227 yards. Anyway. That's my
very,
axe
very,
to grind.
very valid point. If you look at, if you look at the box score, it tells 20% of the story, right?
Yeah, if that.
Al, I believe we've had a fair whack of interest through our hashtag TDU mailbag. So why don't you lead us through some awesome questions? Thank you once again to all the folk on X, on Stormcloud, Bolts from the Blue, wherever you come from. Appreciate you guys listening first and foremost, but also getting involved and being a part of the show. That's why we do it. Thank you. Over to you, Alestino.
Okay. And here, second all of that. All right, we will see how many we get through on what's been a longer show. But let's start with a bit of team building stuff. We had 2 questions that were broad, like generally about Joe Ortiz and how things are going with Ortiz. One was from Ash Holick, E-Wing fighter pilot on X. Boys, thoughts on how Ortiz has built this offense through the draft? I think we're set at wide receiver, running back, tight end. So allows us to target interior offensive line or defense in the upcoming draft. I'm going to read the other question as well, and then we can maybe discuss them together. The other one was from Diver LK on Bolts from the Blue. I can't stress enough how good Joe Ortiz is at drafting football players. Even the second to the last pick of the draft had an NFL interception today. It's a reference to Triquez Bridges. 3 to 7 round contributors is the mark of a good GM. People need to give him a break. Maybe there just weren't that many good O-linemen in this draft. Next draft will be offensive line and defensive line. Difference between him and Telesco's night and day. I'm not sure where there's a question here, but you get me. So let's use that as an entry point into a bit of a discussion about how you feel about Ortiz, Jack, at this moment right now. We've seen injuries, we've seen the roster, we've seen the offense and the defense. How are you feeling about how the Chargers are set up in the near term, mid-term future?
I think this is a perfect time to do it as well, because this is where team building really gets tested, is when your balls to the wall, going, how do I cover? Geez, guys are going down everywhere. Have I drafted good enough replacements? And I absolutely think he has. I couldn't really fault a person that's come in, other than maybe your Bobby Harts off the street and things like that. I think they've been fantastic. And across the board, you kind of look at every position group and go, wow, I mean, he's done everything he can. Even the running backs, I mean, he drafts Vidal, and look at him. He's coming in and doing incredibly well behind 2 first-round picks that aren't there. So, obviously, Najee was a first-round pick. But I think it's great. And the fact that you're still winning football games, is this roster, with the injuries, going to end up 9-8? Possibly, especially that last stretch. But I think it's fantastic that we're still going to be in the fight for the playoffs. So, well done, Joe Ortiz.
Okay, let me feed another question to you, and then Andy, I'm going to let you jump in on a similar point. So on that, Jack, the Chargers are going to be armed with a shitload of cap space heading into the off-season. It's going to be the most in the league, basically. Some were critical he didn't use more of it last off-season, but this off-season, this strategy of bringing in short-term deals means you don't have a lot of guys under contract. So heading into next year, on the O-line, it's only Slater, Alt, Becton, and Bozeman under contract. On the defensive line, it's only interior. It's only Aboigby and Caldwell. All the other guys are 1-year rental types.
Yep.
And on the edge, it's Tooley, Kennard, Dupree. So even Mack and Owe aren't under contract. Does that change how you feel, or are you still on board with that strategy?
No, I'm still on board with it because if we're going to have one of the top cap rooms in the league, it's the perfect time to have all these gaps. You can do your stuff in the draft, go from there, sign some big boys, especially offensive line early, defensive line. You're going to need to shore up, but we know Ortiz finds great defensive free agents for pennies on the dollar. The edge room, I reckon you're taking. You'd think that if Max stays, if he's pretty healthy, so he signs another friendly deal, and you've got a free shot at.
He's so good.
You've got a free shot at Owe, and if Owe decides to go somewhere and gets paid overs, which I reckon a high chance he's going to be, you get a pick back. I mean, it's perfect. I really think it's perfect. And all the guys that are staying are his draft picks. They're the guys that the team wants there. The other guys drafted in a different regime. See you later.
Yeah.
Andy, let me focus you in on Ash's part of the question specifically, was how the offense has been built with a focus on wide receiver, running back, tight end. Now we get to focus on those other bits along the line. How does that make you feel?
I think the way it's probably the opposite to how I would envision you build an offense. You build it from, especially in a Harborian world, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You build it from the front back, and you've obviously got your cornerstone of Herbert. But the way that I see the wide receiver room of the last two drafts with McConkey, with Trey Harris, I'm still very excited to see what KLS has to offer for this offense, and I'm very positive in that realm. Omari and Hampton, I think. I'm still splinters in the bum on the fence about the value of an RB in the first round, but I think that he's going to be a great asset to this team. Orlando Gadsden II looks like a fucking jet, so I'm all about that, and I'm happy to supplement more veteran type, maybe predominantly blocking tight ends ahead of pass catches. So the way that has been built has been great through the draft, and now it does allow us to focus on the interior of the offensive line. The thing that we've all got to remember is that as Chargers fans, we are incredibly impatient, and we want everything fixed in one go, and we want success immediately, which is not an unfair kind of want from the fan base. I want that too. You two want that as well. But the reality is that it just doesn't really happen that way. So the way that we're allowed to
not
now
when you
focus...
inherit a shit show either, Andy. Like think about the cap situation, a roster they inherited. Absolutely.
So taking Alt over Neighbours last year, correct, big tick, correct decision. And I don't think all of our eggs have to necessarily be in one positional basket heading into round one next year, whether we draft at 25, whether we draft at 19, touch wood, it's the former. I think we've really Ortiz has allowed the options to be far more diverse than pigeonholing yourself. To go to Diver LK's, the second to last pick of the draft, that had an interception, certainly wasn't Triquez Bridges. I watched him play for Dallas, and he looked like I don't want him as a Charger. It was RJ Mickens who took the pick, and Triquez Bridges was running around like the Tin Man in the injured Dallas secondary against Bo Nix. Was there a second part of that question you had for me? Colston is obviously the one that hurts a little bit. That was a pick by. A pick of love, I guess, from Harbour, and the jury's in on him at the moment, but I think that there is room for that to turn around, and I'm oddly optimistic that he's not going to be a no-show as a pro football player, as a Charger. Look, I think the thing for me, as far as the interior offensive line, How many of
Is this an overnight mailbag, 24 hours, or is this more like a 5 to 7 days kind of mailbag? This is how it's sort of.
yeah, it's snail mail. It's carrier pigeon.
It's carrier
Claus
pigeon.
is coming
And
from the
the
North
pigeon,
Pole.
the pigeon has one. The
We're
pigeon
gonna we're gonna
the-
zip up that response and we're gonna move on to some more questions.
I'm not
Very
coming back.
good. He hasn't been on the show for a while. Our host wants to get involved. I'll set you up with another one, Andy. We've got this is a fun one, all right? This is from Big Daddy E, Eric on Twitter. If you could take one player no longer on the team from the last decade of Chargers
question.
teams, place him on the current roster, who would it be, Andy? Who would it be?
Are we taking this guy in his like healthy prime? I don't even fucking care. It's Corey Linsley. I'm just taking Corey Linsley. Center Corey Linsley.
Okay.
That's where I'm going. That's where I'm at. There you go.
Good answer.
8-word answer. Next. Fuck off. Next.
Jack, what do you reckon? Oh, we're all going to answer this one. What's your
So
answer?
I went Lindsley first, and then I went. If Gadsden wasn't drafted, I would have gone. Yeah, sorry, Alistair. But you know where I'm going? I'm going prime Jason Verrett. Give me prime Jason Verrett. Give me Jason Verrett in the corner room. And I was going to go with Eric Weddle as well, but I was like, no, I've got Derwin. Give me prime Jason Verrett, which is just on the cusp. I think it was 2015. Would be exceptional. Exceptional.
Yeah, I'd take Verrett in someone else's body with like better injury.
For the
Injury
3 minutes
luck,
that
but
he was a
that's-
healthy
That's what I
Charger.
said. Prime
Yeah.
Jason.
Prime, okay, you get the
Yeah.
prime every week.
6
You
a.m.
guys have hit.
Between 6 a.m. and 6:05 a.m. Jason Verrett. And how awesome would Derwin James and Eric Weddle be as the two?
Yeah,
as your
that's
two
what I was going to
safeties?
say. That's a
That's
heck of a
calm.
tandem.
That's calm.
That's but I reckon if you put Antonio Gates on this team right now, that offense is pretty unbelievably hard to stop.
Hold on. But
Yeah.
remember, that's very end of career Antonio Gates. Because remember, it's within 10 years. Because
Yeah,
you got to go.
so
If
it's
you're going prime,
2015 Gates. 2015.
okay.
He's still at six. Yeah, look, I'm just thinking he can block him and Gadsden. It would be really hard to know which one to block. They're all good answers. Tell us what you guys think in the comment. I'm sure there are some other guys we haven't thought about. Corey legit? I don't think so. All right, moving on to another question.
Maybe Danny
This
Wood.
is-
Was Danny Woodhead within the last 10 years? It's like a
Yeah.
Danny
pass
Woodhead
catcher.
was another one of
Third
mine
down
as
back?
well. Yeah,
Yeah.
I loved a bit of D Woodhead.
There's-
What about a bit
yeah,
of Chad
right-
Reinhardt?
I couldn't kind of find a running back that, you know, I'd really want to lock in as RB2 behind Amarian, but maybe that pass catching. thing.
Eckler?
Eckler, of course. Yeah. Of course, yeah. Always a soft spot for Eck. Next.
All right, we're going to run through Tao's questions because there are a couple of good ones in here. Tao 837 off Stormcloud. Who wants to take the QJ question? First in, first serve. Jack or Andy? Who wants it?
Okay.
Andy jumped. All right. I'm going to set you up. So the question is, should the Chargers trade Quentin Johnston? Suppose they could get a 3rd round pick from Pittsburgh for him. I'll give you some context. So you're not saving much money from doing that because he's on such a cheap deal. He's on 3.8 mil this year, 4.5 mil next year. So it's not about cap relief. The Chargers right now only have 5 draft picks heading into the draft because they've given away their 5th for OA, and I think they gave away their 7th for Molden last year. So they could do with an extra pick. And if you look at how Quentin Johnston went his first 5 games versus his last 2, that kind of thing, will his trade value be higher? If someone called and said, hey, you guys have some wide receivers on the roster behind QJ, what do you reckon? We'll give you a 3rd or a 4th. What say you, GM Andy?
3rd round pick is far more spicy than a 4th, right? And I'd almost say,
Third's healthy.
how many games have we got until? Are we squeezing one in before the trade deadline? Yeah, we've got one. We've got this one game against the Titans too, who, as we'll get to, have just traded Roger McCreary. So there is potential for QJ to have a bit of a return game to that initial the start of the year form. Sure, I should have started by saying thanks, Tao, for the question. You're always contributing, and we really appreciate it, man. And always asking good questions. I think I would. We talked about it earlier in the show about the committee of the wide receiver room and the sharing of the load, and how, in weeks past we thought that it would be an issue with Keenan taking snaps off Ladd, yada yada. But the way that it's working out is pretty fantastic, because Justin Herbert knows how to use all of his receivers. Like I said, I'm eager to see what KLS has to offer, and that that 6th pick, and another third round pick from Pittsburgh, that'd get me over the line to get QJ over there.
Jack, what about you on the intangible stuff, upsetting locker room? You're trying to win now. Does it matter? Could you we haven't had many injuries in the wide receiver room. What happens if someone gets hurt? How is QJ more valuable than the pick you could get for him?
At this point yes, he is. Yes, he is. And I still don't think a third is great business, considering he's a first round pick, and considering that what he's also done. I mean, I'll keep going back to it. The man has put up some huge games. Not many wide receivers can do that. So I still think a first to a third is just not good enough. And
has he played like a first round pick?
No, he hasn't.
Even in those big games, is that a first round pick wide receiver?
Late first round, yeah, late first round. I could say. I mean, the guy's also the guy's taller, he's bigger, so you just. These bigger guys take a little longer. Perhaps Mike Williams did, but no, I don't think. I think you get your pick back if Oweh walks as well. So I don't think you're kind of looking too badly at that. So no, I don't think you trade him. Not right now.
It's a great question. For me personally, QJ is still the 4th or 5th guy I feel confidence in when Herbert actually targets him. And if you look at when you throw it to QJ, he completes the catch 63.6% of the time. So about 6.5 out of 10 times is the ball being complete. That's a bit harsh because he also runs deeper routes. I'll acknowledge that, but that's a lower rate than Harris, Keenan, and Ladd, and Gadsden. There's a bit of feast or famine there, but ultimately where I land on it, Tao, is you can still trade him at the end of the season once the new league year starts. In March. If you really want to trade him, maybe his value will be higher then if he finishes the year strongly. And I do think it helps. The team's 5-3. Is it the right time to remove a guy? He also had 0 targets this week. Hard one. All right. Okay. Are there any other players, though, they should consider trading away? I'll answer this one. There aren't a lot of guys on the roster I think have great trade value. Pipkins might be one you'd think about just because you would actually make a material saving if a team decided to take him, since he's on $9 million this year. I just don't know if teams are really going to be trading for him. And then the last one we're going to deal with from Tao, should they consider trading for any player, Jack, keeping in mind that they only have about 2.5 to 3 million available in cap space without doing some contract restructuring? What are you thinking? Tao's skeptical.
Yeah, I think the Oweh was the big and good splash to do. I think it's made a tangible difference to a group that was thin. The other group that's thin is offensive line. And as we've said for weeks now, you're not just going to find an offensive line starter with a trade anywhere. So I think what we're going to see is just this. Who do we sign at safeties? Marcus May? Was that
Marcus
his name?
Williams.
No. Marcus Williams. I think we're just going to see this off the street guys, UDFAs, FAs, rather than any other big splash plays.
Anyone who's played for Baltimore and is not currently in their starting lineup is eligible to be traded to the Chargers. I think at this.
I am still going to say that if Calais Campbell, who he should have signed as a free agent, wants to come across, his PFF grade is 78.3 and he's had 17 pressures and 2 sacks. The guy's just a gun, and he's a former Raven. Hey,
I reckon he's been on 1-year deals for 4 years, and even before we've been doing this show, we were like, God, Calais Campbell wouldn't be too bad as a Charger on the defensive line. Not a bad shout.
Good player. All right. Maybe 5 more minutes, and then we were sorry if we don't get to your questions, guys. We did get quite a few. This can be a quick hitter. Andy, rank the last 4 Chargers OCs between Roman, Lombardi, Kellen Moore, and Steichen in terms of which offense suits Herbert the best. 1 through 4, Steichen, Lombardi, Roman, Kellen Moore. Hit us. Very hard. Great question. That was asked by AC Bolt on Bolts from the Blue.
Yeah, pretty close, like kind of 1A, 1B. I think Kellen just ahead of Steichen, and then Greg Roman, and then Joe Lombardi.
Okay.
I think that's how I'll sit. Maybe reversed, maybe Steichen more, Roman, Lombardi. Yeah.
Love it.
Put Lombardi in the trash. I think that's where I'm landing.
That's a hard one to answer. What's interesting?
Very hard. He's had a year with most of them.
When Steichen was the coordinator, that the Chargers offense was 18th in points scored. Moore's offense was 21st, although Easton Stick was quarterback the last 4 games. Roman right now is 11th in points scored. Sorry, that's wrong. Roman was 11th last year. They're 17th now. Lombardi, in his 2 years as OC.
Yeah, this is going to be gross.
Fifth in points scored in 2021. 13th in points scored 2022. We all hated him and complained about him. Not so bad. All right, good question.
Sticks Lombardi.
I'll send you back to the teachable moment where the box score doesn't tell you everything.
That's a very good response. All right, let's end on this one. And sorry, Kev, you're such a good contributor. We shout out you a few times on the show. We might answer in writing to yours on Stormcloud, but he submitted a few. Our last one, Bolt fan in Las Vegas from Bolts from the Blue. How do you guys see the AFC playoff seeding 1 through 7? Jack, let us know what you think.
Poor. I mean, Bill's going to be up there, right? The Colts going to be up there. It looks at the moment that Denver are going to be up there as well. Chiefs are floating around. We're floating around. Jags are frisky. Does he want a 1 through 7th, or what does he want?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
all right.
He wants
No,
the
don't just
seeding
read
1
out
through
all
7.
the AFC teams.
Sorry, just all right. I'm on the spot here. Just let me get this. I need to actually see what's going on.
All right. While you're doing it, Andy,
you
give
do
us
that.
your 1 through to 7.
Man, it's going to be hard to stop the Colts at this point, isn't it? Their
7-1.
record is almost not uncatchable, but it's just working. And Jonathan Taylor's winning the MVP. Could I put the Colts as the number? Are we doing seedings? Or are we just doing the 7 teams? We're doing seedings. Shit. I can't help but feel like the Chiefs are now starting to get their ball rolling and will probably win the division again. I don't say that easily.
Oh, come on, stop naming teams, man. Come on, let's go.
I've named 2. Fuck off. I've named 2. Bills, I still see the Ravens returning with Lamar's return from injury. So I'll take those 4 as the division winners. It's almost too good to say that the Steelers will miss the playoffs. But for how much that defense is paid, Chargers, Broncos, and fuck it, Steelers at 7.
Okay.
All right. I've got mine. I'm going to go Buffalo win out. I'm going to go Indiana second. I'm going to go New England finish. Indianapolis, sorry. New England at 4. I'll go Denver 5. I will go I'll go KC 6, Chargers 7. There we go.
No, you can't have the Bills at 2 and the Pats at 4. They're both in the same division.
Oh, well, that's what I've got them at. So there you go.
All right. Bob Fan has unraveled the TDU boys. We've got Indiana Pacers at 2 and 2 teams from the same division at 1 and 4. That about wraps up the TDU mailbag nicely. We've got to tighten this up. It's been a while. The 3 of us are excited, probably a little well lubricated as well. Thanks, listeners, for all of the questions.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Great questions in there. Awesome. And Love you guys all being part of the community. All right, let's finish off with a score prediction and a comment about the Week 9 matchup, the Titans. I'll just go quick hits on the injury front because there were a few just before we jump into that. Derwin, only 6 snaps. Was seen at practice yesterday after suffering a low ankle sprain that had him in a moon boot. He's expected to not miss any time, which is exciting. Taheeb still suspected suffered MCL sprain, which could keep him out for 2 to 4 weeks. Tony Jefferson, hamstring soreness, but returned. Dean Leonard is a name that has surfaced as a potential returner from IR soon. And sadly, I think Amari and Hampton might be a little bit further away than most expect. He was seen after Thursday's game, also in a moon boot. And I got to say, if you're providing moon boots to the Los Angeles Chargers, you are a wealthy motherfucker because every guy is wearing them. They're like those Live Strong bracelets that used to be a fad. Everyone's just in a moon boot now. So, on to the game. Look, we're looking at the 32nd team in the NFL for points per game, yards per game. Cam Ward is averaging a turnover-worthy play a game, sacked 34 times. His pressure-to-sack ratio is 30%. They're selling house. It's a front office disaster in Tennessee with yet another head coach being removed. It's a GM, head coach, just recycle them all. And Mike McCoy is the interim head coach. So if this doesn't give Chargers fans the fuel to want to rip the head off the Titans, who in recent years have created annoyingly close games and winning a few of them as well, all that lies really between the Chargers and a 6-3 record is Jeffrey Simmons for mine. Roger McCreary's off to the Rams. Tennessee's eclipsed 20 points only twice this year. They've given up no less than 20 in all 8 games, surrendering 30 plus 4 times. We know the Bolts were bad against the Colts. Tennessee 2 last week gave up 38. And I see that defensive effort from the Chargers as an outlier. It's 27-10 for the Bolts from me and Cam Ward to throw an interception.
I've got Chargers winning 20-13. I think it would be a bit of a slobber knocker. It always is in Tennessee. So, 20-13 for me.
Yeah, all the good players are injured. I think Simmons might even have a hamstring. He's hoping he can fight through. Calvin Ridley's got a hamstring he's fighting through. You said they've got rid of McCreary. This team, they're not very good. I'm going to back us in. Chargers 30, Titans 13. We've already lost to a rookie quarterback this year. That was bad enough. We are not losing to a rookie quarterback coached by Mike fucking McCoy. So go Chargers. And they'll get us to 6-3, and that's really setting ourselves well for the rest of the season.
Yep. The race in the AFC West is heating up with Pat Surtain potentially missing 2 to 4 as well. So hopefully the Broncos get knocked off once or twice in that stretch. Guys, good to have the 3 of us back together again. That was a lot of fun. I'm clearly only here for the wins. I'm clearly only on the show when we win games. That just seems to be the way that it goes, and I'm okay with it. I'm all about it. Love doing it with you fellas. Love talking to all you guys out there, Bolt fam, and TDU crew. Let's hope for a big win against the Titans. Go to 6-3. We'll see you next time on the Thunder Down Under. Cheerio.
Backpedals looking, firing. He's got Floyd turning. Got it! Zigzag, 10, 5, high step, touchdown! San Diego!
Woo! Good night! Good night to all!